the Civil War. But I mean, surely if there was a revolution, that was one. And were the peasants that carried out the revolution? I don't think so. But I mean, there were people from there wasn't much industry around. But I think it was what shall I say, a bourgeois revolution. Under Cromwell, they abolished the House of Lords. They finally abolished various feudal things, and come back to goldsmiths and so on. They'd be around, but they'd be in the cities lending money to merchants and things like that. So I think that the people in England seem to be much more advanced than the people in France at the same epoch. In fact, they would make an exception to your basic thesis as what was happening in early modern Europe.
Well, yes, as I grant you that cutting the king's head off was a revolution, a revolutionary act. The outcomes were revolutionary. But the thing about the English Civil War, the Puritan Rebellion, or whatever you want to call it, it is the number of people of the middling sort that were involved. They were the ones that were pushing for social change. It wasn't, by and large, your average yeoman or your urban artisan. Although they were involved to a certain extent, but the English Civil War was driven by an emerging a new class in society that was wasn't fully formed, but knew where its interests lay.
Well, if I could chip in and remember vaguely from my A-level history days, was that maybe one of the turning points when Charles's head was chopped off, was the sort of the end of the belief in the divine right of kings, in that sort of myth that maybe protected the monarchy up until then, and that was sort of one of the turning points where it was realised that the king isn't sent down from God to lead us all perfectly. All right, Oliver Cromwell maybe wasn't much of a replacement, but maybe it was a turning point and it changed some attitudes to what the hierarchy could get away with by not relying so much on using God as a defence, which some kings up until then had done. Maybe.
Yeah, sure.
Who's next? Vincent?
Yeah, as far as England is concerned, surely in the 17th century, when you've got the digger movement talking about common ownership of land, and although they were generally a religious organisation, in that, like most people at that time, they certainly believed in a Christian God, that they got quite revolutionary ideas about changing the ownership structure in England, and setting up communes which they hoped would spread throughout England and would inevitably involve the abolition of the landowning classes. And the way they were treated by the government shows they were quite violently treated, and their communes were split up and completely disbanded. Shows that the government of the time considered them to be quite a serious threat to the ruling class. So they were revolutionaries of their time.
Anyone Anyone else? Anyone who hasn't already made a point or asked a question want to have a go? Anyone else? Or is everyone eager to get to the bar, which I think is open?
Yes.
Yeah, Jacqueline.
Just a very quick one. How much did you... I can remember when I was doing women's studies a few decades ago, and there were many books produced in the class of women living in the 14th century, doing all manner of things. I mean, they weren't hiding behind the husband or anything else. And I'm sure that wherever there's a bit of discord against, authority, women are usually there somewhere, playing their part, not just being the quiet little woman. And I wonder how much research you did to, did you actually look to see if there was anything like that? I find that women usually find these things out, usually, if they want to.
No, I didn't specifically look at that aspect of it, but
Well, I know
I think you'll find that
probably not.
there was the rise of feminist ideas in the 60s and 70s.
I don't
get
think
a
they
lot
would have called it that.
Sorry?
Oh, gone. Yeah, they called it that.
Oh yeah. Interested in the role of women in society, let's put it like that. When women started pushing for feminist studies, one of the first things they had to do was to go out and fight with the feminists, and they trawl through the pages of history, and you do come across women that did fulfill functions normally given over to men. I can't remember the woman's name. The wife of Pastor. There's a collection of letters written in the 1300s to the 1400s by the Pastor family. Now, while the old boy was away, she did a lot of the estate's business. In early modern Europe, you get women who are more involved because they're widows. Once you become a widow, you have a slightly higher standing because you've inherited your husband's property, so you become that much more important. But I can't think of very many leaders outside of, say, the very higher echelons of society, the kings and the princes and what have you.
I was thinking more of the yokels, now women fighting, to get what it was that they wanted, them sort of things.
I'm not aware this happened.
Ah.
The wife would have done what the husband told her. Otherwise, he'd have lost face. You see, if it gets around the village that your wife tells you what to do, your reputation sinks like a brick. You're not, are you? Letting your wife tell you what to do.
Yeah, but it's happened. I know the Corn Laws,
Yes,
women
yes,
started that, the rent strikes. I mean, this is what I'm talking about, not doing property and business. I'm talking about actually getting into the forefront, because some of the men were cowards then time. They wouldn't have done anything. Nothing would have changed. No disrespect, but I'm sure, Thank you.